Berserk as a manga has an immense following and presents a rich tapestry of interpretations. However, many fans tend to engage with the series on a surface level, failing to grasp the profound symbolic meanings and psychological intricacies intertwined throughout its narrative. In this video, we will explore the character of Griffith and his embodiment of the scapegoat archetype. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist's conceptualization of archetypes emerged from his observation of recurring patterns in human behavior, symbols, and myths across different cultures and time periods. He believed that archetypes were universal and innate, residing within the collective unconscious, which is the shared reservoir of unconscious knowledge and experiences inherited by all human beings. Jung recognized that archetypes manifest in various forms, such as characters, motifs, or themes within myths, fairy tales, dreams, and religious rituals. Throughout his exploration of these cultural expressions, Jung identified archetypical patterns that transcended individual experiences and represented fundamental aspects of the human psyche. The concept of the scapegoat archetype aligns with Jung's understanding of the shadow, one of the core archetypes he described. The shadow represents the hidden, repressed, or undesirable aspects of the individual and collective psyche. It encompasses elements that the individual may disown or project onto others. The scapegoat, in the context of the shadow, can be seen as a symbol of representation of these projected aspects. The scapegoat archetype, deeply rooted in ancient religious practices, carries profound symbolic significance within the human psyche. An exemplar of this archetype can be observed through the character of Griffith from Berserk, whose journey mirrors the essence of the scapegoat archetype. To illustrate the concept further, we can draw upon the Yom Kippur ritual, a central observance in Judaism. During the Yom Kippur ritual, 2 goats were chosen. One goat, known as the scapegoat, was designated to bear the sins and transgressions of the community. The high priest would lay his hands on the scapegoat's head, transferring the collective guilt and impurities onto the animal. This ritualistic act represented a powerful symbolic gesture, signifying the community's yearning for redemption and absolution. Griffith's character in Berserk echoes the sacrificial aspects of the scapegoat archetype. Initially, he willingly sacrifices personal desires and relationships, symbolically offering himself to the Princess Charlotte in exchange for power and influence, as well as succumbing to his own shadow, which is the desire for a woman. This mirrors the motive of self-sacrifice within the scapegoat archetype, where an individual willingly assumes burdens for personal gain. Paralleling the Yom Kippur ritual, you see that symbolically Griffith takes on the role of the scapegoat, bearing the collective sins and burdens of humanity. However, as the manga continues, Griffith's actions take a darker turn, reminiscent of the Yom Kippur ritual's transformative significance. During the eclipse, he orchestrates a devastating massacre of his comrades and undergoes a metamorphosis into Femto, a member of the God Hand. This transformation represents a sacrificial ritual where Griffith not only sacrifices his own humanity, but also the lives of those loyal to him. Within the process, all of his followers die in brutal fashion. Just as the scapegoat in the Yom Kippur ritual was banished into the wilderness, Griffith's transformation separates him from the rest of humanity. He becomes a vessel for the collective shadow, embodying the darkest aspects of the human psyche, such as violence, manipulation, and selfishness. In assuming this role, Griffith symbolically carries the burden of humanity's collective sins and assumes responsibility for its darkest impulses. The actions that he takes throughout the eclipse are symbolic representations of the most severe sins of humanity: the tendency to betray, kill, rape, yearn for pride, greed, lust, envy, and wrath. This is all displayed within the events of the eclipse. As Griffith is assaulting Casca, you see one of the God Hands state the following: "Such beauty it touches me, love, hatred, pain, pleasure, life, and death. All are there. This is to be human. This is to be evil." This statement is a way of showing the process of the human psyche. We tend to have a scapegoat, a way of projecting our own sins and lack of understanding of our unconscious desires onto others so that we may see ourselves as good rather than evil. An example of this within the 21st century is Germany during World War II. During the rise of the Nazi regime, Germany was grappling with socioeconomic challenges, political instability, and a collective sense of humiliation following World War I. Hitler and the Nazi Party exploited these underlying frustrations and fears, propagating anti-Semitic ideologies, as a way to redirect blame and unite the German population. This is what Jung defined as the collective shadow, something that is created between the tensions that arise among communities. The Nazis used Jews as a scapegoat for the country's economic sufferings, political upheavals, and the perceived threat to the purity of the Aryan race. By blaming Jews for Germans' perceived decline and portraying them as conspirators or parasites, the Nazi tapped into the existing prejudices and projected societal anxieties onto the vulnerable minority. We often forget the word evil and its meanings. This is a process of garnering evil and using its power to warp reality. The scapegoating of Jews provided a convenient outlet for individuals to displace their own frustrations and insecurity. By dehumanizing Jews and attributing all societal ills to their existence, the Nazis not only scapegoated this particular group, but also fostered a collective sense of unity and purpose among their followers. There's a sense of psychological connection that can be made between Hitler and Griffith. This is to identify that at times you are able to use sins and collective guilt to garner power. This is shown through Griffith as a symbolic figure for both sides of the scapegoat archetype. On one side, it can be viewed as the need for atonement and the necessity for sacrifice within all communities and the individual psyche. The eclipse can thus symbolize a renewal of the soul or the collective unconscious. But on the other side, it symbolically tells the reader a process of gaining psychic power through encompassing oneself in evil. Jung viewed psychic power as a dynamic force that can be directed and transformed, influencing an individual's psychological well-being and personal growth. He emphasized the importance of harnessing and channeling psychic energy in a balanced and constructive manner to achieve psychological wholeness and individuation. Jung also recognized that psychic power could become distorted or repressed, leading to psychological conflicts and imbalances. He emphasized the need for individuals to become aware of and integrate their unconscious aspects of their psyche, including suppressed emotions, desires, and shadow elements. By acknowledging and working with these hidden aspects, individuals could reclaim and redirect psychic power for personal growth and self-actualization. Jung's conceptualization of psychic power goes beyond the individual level and extends to the collective unconscious. He believed that psychic energy not only influences individuals' psyches, but also shapes cultural and societal phenomena. Within the eclipse, you see exactly this. Griffith becomes the scapegoat for humanity, but at the same time, the eclipse is used as a way to garner energy and use the evils of humanity for his own benefit, to gain strength and power. You have two options of shaping reality. One is through gaining energy from the truth and goodness in the world, as well as battling suffering through the side of God. The second is to force reality to bend by abiding by one's own rules to garner energy. A good example of this is a mafia boss or a drug lord. They kill, steal, and create communities that depend on drugs. These actions are evil in its nature, but at the same time, the mafia boss gains confidence, a sense of godlike image in his psyche, and material wealth, which can all be seen as the psychic power he gains by taking the path of evil to achieve his dreams. This is what Griffith does. He sacrifices himself to the devil rather than God in order to gain psychic energy to achieve his dreams. But what he does not realize is that the sacrifice to the devil will inevitably lead to one's downfall as time continues. This was a complex and nuanced topic, but one that is necessary. It's rare that we interpret scenes and events from manga and anime through very deep symbolic viewpoints. But this is necessary as the author have consciously or often unconsciously implemented these psychological themes and ways of being to give you, the reader, a guideline to strive towards. At times the guidelines are good, and at times they are evil, but nonetheless it is important to understand both sides. Hope you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to my channel, and I'm extremely confident that I will be hitting 100k subscribers soon. It's inevitable. And as always, take care everyone.